Hello, I'm Vera and welcome to my channel. How are you doing? I hope you are doing great. On here, I read out stories that I receive from my followers and subscribers, stories in need of your advice and opinions. And so if you love unique and real stories, welcome. You are at the right place. Now, is something bothering you or do you have issues that you want advice and opinions on? We've got you. Just write out your story and send it to my TikTok page at vera.h. I'm going to leave it on the screen. Write out your story and send it to me. And when I post your story, I'm going to notify you and let you know your story is up. Please subscribe to this channel and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. Shout out to Josephinia_X. You were the first person to comment on my last video. Love you, babe, and thank you so much for the support. Now, without further delay, let's get right into it. Story number one. I should have known this woman was crazy when she asked me to sleep with her in the kitchen when her husband was in the living room. There's this elderly man who lives in a big house 2 houses down from mine. I was introduced to him by a friend in the same area. This man is around 60-70 years old. I don't really know the job he does, but I know he is rich. I'm an Uber driver, and even though he has his own driver, once in a while, he will ask me to drive him around. Sometimes I also run errands for him, and he always pays me well. Now, this man is married to this woman we will call Mina. Mina is around 50 years old. Even though she's matured, she's a very beautiful woman. She's fair and thick. I couldn't take my eyes off her the first time I saw her, even though she was far away. She had her makeup done, and she was wearing a sexy short dress. I had gone to buy something for her husband, and after giving them to him, I saw her standing on the balcony watching us. I never entered into their house. If I am going to drive him, I will wait in the compound while he gets ready. His wife was always in the house, and so I only saw her once in a while on the balcony. Now, I'm 25 years old, and I live with my woman. We've been dating for 5 years. We all used to live in the same town, and we both met in the polytechnic. She moved out of the town to stay with her brother in the city after we finished school. She got a good job soon after that, and after a couple of years, she asked me to join her in the city. I was teaching in the town by then. After I moved in with her, finding a good job to do was difficult, and so she asked me to use her car for Uber for the meantime till I find a job that pays well. I really love my woman, and I don't know what I would do without her. Since I started driving, I've been making small money to help around the house, but it was still not enough for me to save to get my own place. She thinks it's a bad idea for me to save money and move out, since we are comfortable living together. She thinks we should save the money instead, get married, buy a land, and start building together. Her plan is not bad, but even if that is the case, I want to be the one paying the rent till we get married. I've been working really hard, but the money I was making was just not enough. Now, one day, I got a call from the elderly man to go pick a spare tire from a workshop and bring it to his house. He was not around when I got there, and so he asked me to give it to his wife. This was my first time seeing her up close. She was dressed in just a huge t-shirt when I opened the door. This woman was much more beautiful up close. I greeted her and told her I would be leaving the tire on the porch. As I was about to leave, she asked me to bring it inside instead. I was a bit surprised since I always left everything I bought for them on the porch. I nodded my head, lifted the tire, and followed her into the house. Hey, money is sweet. These people were living it big. Everything in the house screamed luxury and riches. I followed her to a storeroom in the back of the house and I left the tire there. Whilst I was walking behind her, I was trying my best not to look at her behind because this woman was loaded. And because she was only wearing a big t-shirt, everything was showing from her thighs downwards. As I was about leaving, she asked me my name and I told her, and she told me hers too, but we will call her Mina. Mina asked me if I stayed around and I nodded. She nodded and told me to keep up the good work. I thanked her and was about to walk out when she gave me 200 cedis. Her husband had already paid me, and so I told her that. She just said don't worry and put the money into my hand and walked away. Her husband was also generous like that, and so I didn't think much of it. I just shouted thank you after her and left. About a week later after this encounter, I received a call from the elderly man. His wife, who preferred to drive herself always, was not feeling well, and so he wanted me to drive her. I told him I would be there tomorrow, and I was there early the next morning waiting for her in their compound. An hour later, her husband left the house with his driver. About 15 minutes after they left, the front door opened and I couldn't believe my eyes. Mina was standing at the doorsteps in a brassiere and panty, asking me to come inside. I hesitated for a second. "Come in and eat before we go," she said. I nodded and went inside. On the dining table was rice and stew with juice. She asked me to eat. Now, instead of going to the room to change, she just sat on the couch and started to press her phone. I ate the food, and when I finished, I told her I was done. She asked me to come sit beside her and that we will be leaving shortly. She turned on the TV for me and continued pressing her phone. I didn't know how to act. The woman was in a brassiere and panty, and I could see everything from where I was sitting. I tried my best to remain composed. After about 20 minutes, she stood up and climbed the stairs. I tried not to look, but I couldn't resist it. And when I turned to look at her behind, her eyes met mine, and she smiled before she disappeared upstairs. My heart was beating fast, and I started breathing in and out, trying to compose myself. A couple of minutes after she left, I heard her call my name and asked me to come upstairs. And this woman was stark naked when I entered into her room. I didn't understand what was going on. I couldn't even speak. She asked me to sit on the bed, and like a fool, I did. I was just lost in a trance, and everything happened so fast. She came to sit on me and started rubbing my head. This woman's body was something else. She started kissing me, and before I knew it, she was handing me a condom. And then we were in the bed and we were doing the do. It just happened, and after the act, I didn't know how to feel about the whole situation. She smiled, kissed me on the cheeks, and asked me to go wait for her downstairs. She came down 20 minutes later, fully dressed, and said she was ready. On our way to her destination, she chatted with me about my hometown, my family, and my ambitions, etc. She didn't say anything about what had just happened between us. After we got to her destination, she left me for about 30 minutes and then she came back and I drove her back home. On our way home, she was silent. She didn't say a word. The atmosphere in the car was awkward and I felt uneasy. Everything felt like a dream because it happened so fast. I was even asking myself if it had really happened. After dropping her off, she gave me 1,000 cedis when I had only charged 200 cedis. She just said goodbye to me and entered into her house. I felt so guilty seeing my woman later that evening, but what had already happened. I told myself I would never put myself into that situation again. But Mina was like a magnet. The second time we did it, I had gone to drop a package off at her house. She lured me in and we did it on the couch. She gave me 2,000 cedis afterwards. I don't know if it is because of the money or how irresistible Mina was, but before long, I was sleeping with her almost every week. And then I started spending the nights with her when her husband was not around. I was not in love with her. I just enjoyed sleeping with her. And she gave me money every single time. It was like a transaction. I sleep with her and she pays me. We did it everywhere in the house. Everything was going great. And then a couple of months later, she changed. She became very controlling. Throughout this period, she had never asked me if I had a girlfriend, and I had also not told her anything. The only thing we did was sleep together, and then afterwards, I would either leave or sleep with her lying on my chest. We never spoke about her life or mine, and we always used protection. On days I slept over, I just told my girlfriend I was taking a client outside the city. One day, out of nowhere, she asked me if I was dating. I wanted to be honest, so I told her yes. She kept quiet for a second, and then she started shouting on me to leave. Just like that. She was screaming. I was so shocked. I just put on my clothes and left. I didn't hear from her again for 2 days. And then she called and apologized, saying she didn't know what came over her. She started calling my phone all the time. If I don't pick up when she calls, she will scream at me on the phone and ask me why I was ignoring her. Soon, I could see my girlfriend was suspecting that something was off. Despite all this, instead of me to use my senses to cut off things with Mina, I stayed. Then one day, she called me over to her house when her husband was still there. Her husband was in the living room when I entered. My heart almost jumped out of my chest when I saw him. I greeted him and sat down. I was sweating in the air conditioned room. Moments later, Mina called me from the kitchen and asked me to come and help her with something. When I entered, this woman was topless. She pulled me to her and started to kiss me. She whispered into my ears and asked me to make love to her in the kitchen, right with her husband in the living room. I was like, hell no. I pushed her away, and as I was walking out of the kitchen, she grabbed me again and started fondling me. I had to use all my strength to push her away. I didn't understand her. We can do this anytime. Why did she want to do this with her husband around? I told her no and begged her to stop. I could see from the look in her eyes that she was not pleased. I went back to the living room, sat down for a while, and then pretended to get an urgent call and then left. After this encounter, I just decided to stay away from Mina altogether. I enjoy sleeping with her, and she gave me money sometimes, but it was not worth all the things she was putting me through. I texted her and told her I wanted to end the relationship. She didn't respond back, and so I thought she had understood me. But the next day, she started blowing up my phone with calls again. I picked up and told her it was over, but she didn't want to accept it, and so I had to block her number. The next day, she started calling my phone again with another number. My girlfriend has been asking me if I'm cheating on her, and things between the two of us is not like the way it used to be. I want to concentrate on only my girlfriend, and I want us to go back to the way things used to be before I became involved with Mina. But Mina is making things difficult. She is threatening to tell my girlfriend about our affair if I don't come back to her. She even came to park in front of my house just last week, asking me to come and meet her, or she will come and knock on my door. I had to meet her, and we ended up sleeping together in a car. I'm at my wit's end, and I don't know what to do anymore because at this point, she's not giving me money anymore. It's as if she wants to ruin my life. I don't know what to do and how to cut her off. I really need advice, please. For this one, dear, you dug the hole yourself. And so you are the only person who can refill it. Oh, you are not a child. You are a grown up man. And you know the difference between right and wrong. You said you were in a trance when you made love to Mina the first time. My brother, you were not in a trance, Bia. You knew what you were doing. This was a decision you made for yourself. This was a choice. No one forced you. Your girlfriend deserves better. The only advice I have for you is to leave that woman alone for a peace of mind. Your sugar mommy, Mina, a psycho. And she might end up hurting that innocent woman. Please leave her alone. Leave your girlfriend alone. Like, how can you do this to someone you claim has been there for you since day one? She even gave you a car to do Uber, and this is how you pay her back. Is this what she gets for being there for you? Are you even sure you love her? Because personally, I think you are only with her because of the benefits you are getting from her. Because trust me, if you loved and appreciated this woman, you would have never cheated on her in the first place. She deserves better. Leave that poor woman alone and go and continue your relationship with your sugar mommy. This is why many people have stopped believing in love. Where is the loyalty and the commitment? You just wasted 5 years of your life. What would happen if you had said no to Mina? Will you die? Do better. See, if you claim you love her like you do, leave that woman alone. She deserves better. Please just leave her alone. Now, if you have any advice or opinions for this sender, write story number 1 and leave your advice and opinions. It's going to be in the comment section reading them. Now, let's move on to story number 2. In 2022, I started dating my ex-boyfriend. I was naive and I didn't ask him for anything. He would buy expensive clothes for himself, feed his friends, and give me small amount of money to keep me happy. This boy couldn't buy me clothes or anything substantial. He opened a business and used all the business money to support his friends. He cared more for his friends than for me and always put them first. When I was dating him, I didn't use creams or nice clothes, and my phone was in bad condition. I told him about it, and he said he didn't have money. When his friends moved to another state, he moved with them. I made a decision to leave him. Early this year, I left him, and after that, I started taking care of myself and began my own business. Everything was going well for me. He then started stalking me on Instagram. Suddenly, he called me to say he had bought a car. Immediately, I blocked him because he had always admitted he didn't have money to change my phone. He used other numbers to call me after 6 months of abandoning me. I know he might have tried other relationship while he was away, but since he has always seen me as a naive girl, I'm sure that is why he's begging me to come back and accept him. Am I wrong for not going back to him? You are not wrong, babe. When I read the part where you said I left him, I started taking care of myself and started my own business. I was like, go girl, go girl. This is the kind of things I want to be reading. This is what I love to see. Women leveling up, channeling and investing their energy into themselves, putting themselves first and taking care of their mental health and well being. This is what I love to see. I'm so proud of you, babe. Now, if you've not blocked his new number yet, I want you to block him now. You are doing amazing on your own. You don't need him. You were never a priority for him. He's just coming back to waste your time. Nothing is going to change if he comes back. You are in a good place right now. You are taking care of yourself. Keep doing that. Prioritize your well being, babe. You are doing amazing. If you have any advice for this sender, write story number 2 and leave your advice and opinions. She's going to be in the comment section reading them. Now, let's move on to story number 3. Hi, V. I met this guy when I was in high school and we dated for about 3 years. The relationship wasn't that great. I did a lot of the communication and always texted him first. I broke up with him because I left the country and he wasn't answering my calls and texts. He later admitted to cheating on me, not with just one girl, but with multiple. Fast forward, I've been introduced to a guy who is 8 years older than me. I haven't met him in person. It's all online. But I'm confused. He claims he loves me and wants to be with me. But it seems like we compete to see who will text first and sometimes go days without talking. I don't know if I should continue with this relationship because I feel like I'm judging too early. It's also not in Ghana and wants me to join him. What should I do? I'm confused. I learned a lot from my first relationship. I was naive and did a lot of things that I regret. I don't want to make any decisions I might regret later. I am 23 now. Hi, babe. Communication is very important in every relationship. And since he has started doing this now, this is how it is going to be for the rest of your relationship. I just want you to know that. I'm happy you've learned a lot from your previous relationship, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes you did before. If somebody loves you, he should always want to hear from you. Like, why go days without calling and texting someone you claim you love? To me, this is a red flag. And in a way, I'm kind of happy he's showing you how he is now. If both of you can go days without talking, then this might be a sign of trouble. Also, think about what you want in a relationship. Do you want to be with someone who will go days without checking up on you? Someone who will ghost you for days and not even text you? Knowing what you want can help you decide if this is the guy you want to be with. I always say this: listen to your feelings, listen to your instincts. If something feels off or you have doubts, pay attention to that. Just take your time and ensure this is really what you want before you even think of joining him. It is perfectly okay to slow down and put yourself first. And you saying you feel like you are judging too early, that is your instincts talk. Listen to your instincts, babe. They never lie. Trust me, they don't lie. So take things slow, observe the relationship. Ask yourself if this is the kind of person you want to be with in the long run. And then make your decision. Now, if you have any advice for the sender, write story number 3 and leave your advice and opinions. She's going to be in the comment section reading them. Now, like always, you are not perfect. I'm not perfect. The senders are not perfect. Obviously, these issues are worrying them, and that is why they've sent them to me in the first place. And so, please be kind to them in the comment section. Now, the advice and opinions are very important. It is because of you that they've sent these stories to me in the first place. So, if you don't advise them, then what is the need? Please don't forget to leave your advice and opinions down below. It is very important too. And now, if you've not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for, babe? Come and join the family. Subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that when I post, you'll be notified immediately. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Okay, I'm done. Bye.